Welcome to 5 Steps to Awesome Strategic Referral Partnerships. What I would say is there are some slides today, but there's not that much on them, right? They're more here for my benefit than yours. So feel free to do what you want in terms of the proportions of your screen. You will have access to the slides and the recording of this session afterwards. So by all means, take notes, but don't feel the need to furiously scribble things down. What I'm really hoping is that over the course of the next kind of half hour or so, I give you some really actionable value-packed takeaways that you can go away and use on your business. Because of that, right at the very end, I'll share just for literally a couple of minutes on about how, if you do want further support with this stuff, how I can help you do that. But I promise this isn't one of those convoluted sales pitches. The subject matter here is all about adding value. But if it's okay for me to, if I do that and I deliver value, is it okay for me to just spend a couple of minutes at the end letting you know how I could potentially work with you? Brilliant. Nodding heads. Thank you very much. Hopefully everything is relatively straightforward as we go through. None of this stuff is rocket science. But if you do have any burning questions as we go through, kind of wave your hands or shout or do whatever it is you want to do. Throw something at me virtually, whatever it may be, and I'll answer it then. But there will be plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So if it's not burning, then by all means do it at the end. But if it's a fundamental block you've got, or something you really want to raise, yeah, absolutely feel free to shout as we go. Okay, so on with the show. Right, 84% of B2B decision makers start with the buying process with a referral. And once those referrals have come in, the customer value is much higher. And I don't believe this stat takes into account the fact that a referred lead is much more likely to then pass you referrals as well. And this is the really impressive stat around the level of growth that businesses with formalized referral and partnership processes have compared to those that don't. And I think it really puts into context the old saying of it's not what you know, it's who you know. Word of mouth marketing is the oldest form of marketing. Before Facebook ads, before emails, before the written word. If you wanted to get your word out, then you did it through your reputation and through other people letting other people about what you know. And not that much has changed. It's still, for most businesses, the most successful form of marketing. But of all those companies surveyed, only 30% had a formalized referral program. So quick show of hands, how many of you here are asking for referrals? Or how many of you are getting referrals at the moment? How many of you receive referrals? Okay, so most of you, okay. And how many of you are asking for them? Okay, fewer, okay. And how many of you would say you either have a formalized referral program or have what you would call proper partners in place who are doing this consistently? Okay, we have yeah, much fewer. And so that's probably indicative of the stats that were there. And this is the thing, despite it being the most successful form of marketing for many people, it's the bit that so few of us actually focus time, energy, and effort on. And that's what I want to cover today. Now, before I do, I've mentioned two things. I've mentioned referrals and partnerships. And I just want to cover off what I kind of, where I come in on both. So for referrals, it's anyone and everyone. So it's your customers, it's your clients, it's your network, it's your whoever it may be. And that's great that they can come from anywhere. But typically the quantity and the quality can vary. When we look at strategic referral partnerships, it's about businesses that deliver your ideal leads at the ideal time to buy on a consistent basis. And it's because they've got a vested interest in doing so. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Very quickly, though, for those of you that I haven't met before, a little bit about me. Other than being quite a cute kid, I've got a huge background in delivering leads to other businesses. So my partnership experience comes from a lead provision point of view, acting as the SME engagement partner for a number of these big brands that you can see on your screen now. Also run my own membership organization, Business Team, which is up there. We grew that to a couple of thousand members almost entirely through referrals and partnerships. So I've obviously had some successes along the way, but I've learned much more from the mistakes I've either made or more often than not witnessed from being on the other end of some of these brands partner programs there. And what I now do is I help business owners just like you have the skills and the strategies to implement awesome strategic referral partner programs of their own. So you get those ideal leads in on a consistent basis. And that's the bit I'll spend 2 minutes at the end just letting you know about. So I mentioned I keep calling them strategic referral partners. And to do that, you need to have a strategy. And for me, it's all about dance, the partnership dance. So I have a 5-step strategy, and that's what we're going to cover today. The first one being discovery, which is all about who your ideal partners are. We'll then look at assembly, which is all the behind the scenes systems and process. We'll look at nurturing, all about how you communicate with your partners. We'll then look at connection, which is how you help your partners connect you to their audience. Absolutely vital in activating your partnership. And then last, but by no means least, we'll look at how you go out there and get those partnerships. Put them all together and you'll have your dancing shoes on. Now, there is a number one rule that goes across all of this, and it counts for those casual referrals as well as your partners, is about making it easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Quick show of hands here. Who isn't busy at the moment? Okay, yeah, didn't think I'd get any there. Now, because we're all busy, we become lazy. And I don't mean lying around on the sofa watching Netflix lazy. I mean, if something isn't part of our core day-to-day activity, then typically we don't. Sorry, just letting someone in. That threw me off my stride. My mouse was all over the shop. Then typically we don't do it. If it's not easy for us to do, we put it on that side pile of, I'll get round to it. And I don't know about you, but my I'll get round to it pile only gets touched when I sweep it off the metaphorical desk to start another one again. So if you want someone to do something that's outside of their normal remit, it's all about making it easy for them to do so and doing the heavy lifting. So that's a common theme. But moving on to that first step then, discovery. So discovery is all about understanding who your ideal partner is. And it starts with understanding who your ideal client is. Now, this isn't a workshop about niching your business, okay? I'm not amazing at niching my business in terms of customer demographic myself. But when looking for partners, if you understand who your ideal customer is, be that they deliver the most value, profit, you enjoy working with the most, you find them the easiest to target. By segmenting your audience into certain demographics, it's much easier to demonstrate value to a partner. If you go in looking for anyone and everyone, well, then it's much harder to demonstrate that value to a partner. So I would really encourage you, first and foremost, when you're thinking about forming partnerships, is to really think about which segment of your customer data you really enjoy working with, is profitable, and you deliver huge value to, because they're the people you want to try and form partnerships with. Because while we can work with anyone and everyone on a partner basis, that's not the best way to get results. You want to work with the partners where you've got the strongest partner value proposition. Now, the partner value proposition is the thing that everything else hooks on. And it's the reason why the partner will want to work with you. And there's a crucial piece there. So many people, when they're going out looking for partners, focus on what they can deliver to the partner's audience. And the trouble with that is, whether it's unconsciously or not, and whether you mean to or not, when you talk about the value you deliver to a partner's audience, it kind of just says that you want to sell to their audience. And so what this is about going, there are people out there where the value I deliver to their audience actually delivers value to the partner. And it's all about focusing on the value to the partner, not the audience. So typically it can be because your service fits in within their own, or it could be that you come directly before or after their service to enhance it. I'll give a few examples of this. So it could be, and I'll do it for people that I've worked with. So I've worked with a telemarketing agency, and they focused their partnership efforts on people who did inbound search, so SEO, a pay-per-click, that type of activity. And the reason why their partner value proposition was that they helped those inbound search agencies deliver better results for their clients. So not in terms of the volume of leads, but essentially those volume of leads, once the people provided them to their client, they had no control over how well those leads were being followed up on, right? And ultimately, if I'm an SEO agent or PPC, yes, I'm judged on the number of leads that I bring in, but it's then about whether they convert into sales, right? And so by these people referring in a telemarketing agency, it meant the leads were followed up better, which meant they converted more, which meant their clients saw the value in the services they were providing and actually increased their spend on generating these leads because it was delivering revenue. The same would be true with a website developer and a copywriter, for example. If you're building a website, yes, you might make it the most functional and it work well, but if it doesn't deliver on what it's supposed to, essentially that's what the client's going to judge you on. So you might want to refer, if you're a copywriter, they would be your partners because the web developer wants to refer in a copywriter. And it's all about speaking about, from the copywriter's point of view, that you're helping the web developer produce websites that do what they're supposed to do, not that they're producing copy for their client. And so it's about just making that subtle switch about, it is about the value you deliver to the audience, but why is that important to the partner? And that's the piece that really will help you resonate with the partner more, and it will help you really uncover what your messaging and everything you should be doing is. And so there will be people, whether your service does it directly or indirectly, it's really important to kind of try and find this piece where your partners have that congruent link with what you do. There's a quite a big process around doing this, but it is the number one thing to get right in terms of long-term relationships. Okay, does everyone get that kind of principle? Awesome, nods of heads, brilliant. Okay, next on the agenda is assembly. So this is all the behind the scenes systems and processes. And I use a festival picture, not just because I love music and festivals, but if you imagine going to a festival and you were really excited to get there because the lineup is the best lineup you have ever seen, no matter what music it is you like, but then you get there and it takes you hours to get in because the gates are all rubbish. When you get in, there's only one bar and the queue for it's massive. The set list is all in the wrong order, so you don't know who's on when, and the sound system is awful. So your experience isn't great. Now, the following year, no matter how good the lineup is, you're not going back because that behind the scenes system and setup just wasn't there. You've lost all trust in that festival to be able to deliver. And that's what this piece is in your partnership program. This won't win you partners, but it will enable you the trust that keeps your partners, and it will also allow you to be able to set up for scale, which is what strategic referral partnerships are all about. It's allowing you to scale your business at pace. And there's two things that I want to cover specifically here, just very quickly on around. There's lots, but there's two main ones around that trust. The first one is around tracking. If you're receiving volumes of leads in from your partners, it is absolutely essential that you track them properly, that you know not only which partner they came from, but where they are either in your prospect journey or then a customer journey. And there's one of two reasons there. It's because if you can't tell your partners that, they will either think that you've not registered them against them, and so maybe you're trying to dodge any commission that's payable, or that you genuinely don't know. Now, one of those two things makes you either look like a crook or incompetent. And neither of those two things are a good look when you're trying to form partnerships. When someone provides you a lead, they're not just giving you a referral, they're entrusting you with a little bit of their reputation every single time. And we need to treat that with the trust and the respect that it deserves, because our reputation is all that we've got. And so that being able to track your leads is absolutely essential. You can use fancy partnership software, you can use a normal CRM, you can use a spreadsheet, you can use the back of a fag packet. It's much better to have a spreadsheet you use in a CRM system that you don't, but whatever you do, make sure you're tracking your inquiries in. And then the other side I wanted to talk about is lead handling. So normally when you first set up a partnership and you're planning world domination, it doesn't normally go as well as you think it's going to in the outset, right? It's normally a much slower build. but sometimes it will go as well as you think it will do, if not better. When I ran my membership organisation, we worked with one of those brands, nice brands that was on that sheet at the start, around giving our members and our prospects some free sales data. And we thought this is great. We're going to get happy members and we're going to attract a load of new members because we're giving them this offer. And we spoke to the multinational organisation in question about how successful we thought the campaign was going to be. And they thought, yes. And they said, yeah, we've got it covered. We said, you sure? They said, yes. And so we sent our campaign out, nice and easy. People just had to click a button on an email to say, yeah, I want my sales data. And someone was going to give them a call back within 2 days. Well, we did deliver success. I think we delivered something like 400 and something leads over the 2-day period that the campaign went out. And this large organisation weren't set up for that. And it was taking them 2 weeks to get back to people instead of 2 days. So instead of happy customers and members and potential members and prospects, we had people giving us grief because they weren't getting their responses where they thought it would. It had the exact opposite intention of what that campaign was supposed to do. Now, we kept working with the brand for a little while because they were a good partner in other aspects, but the trust in running more campaigns like that had completely gone. So that setting up for scale, it's kind of that expect the worst but plan for the best, and just make sure that if everything does go according to plan, that you are able to cope with that volume of leads. Again, it's that thing around, and if people are passing you referrals, you need to be delivering against them. I mentioned commission, so I just want to touch on this very quickly. If we're looking at casual referrals, it's a really, really grey area around how you reward people with commissions and things. When you're looking at strategic referral partnerships, I would always have a financial thing in place. It's what elevates the relationship from a friendly handshake to a proper commercial partnership. Even if the person doesn't want to receive commissions, there are other things you can do with it. By there being a financial incentive in place, it just formalizes things a little bit more than those relationships that I'm sure we've all had that kind of have potential but don't necessarily go all the way. I've got a long video on all the different things to consider on this, so I'll happy to take questions on the end on it, and I'll share that link, but it's just one I want to mention now. Okay, so we know who we're partnering. We've got our all behind the scenes system set up. The next piece is around nurturing. So this is around building relationships with our partners. And it's about how we really make the most of the opportunity, we keep them enjoyable, and we keep them impactful. Because what we've got to remember is there can be a tendency, particularly in the software and SaaS world, for partnerships to be over-automated, in my opinion, and there's absolutely a time for automation, but at their core, they're still based on a human relationship. So though everything can be systems driven, let's kind of remind that. So there'll be different reasons for communicating people and therefore different styles. So automation absolutely has its place. That tracking piece we mentioned before, sending people automated stuff around what's going on with their leads, absolutely perfect. Letting them know what commissions due, all that stuff, brilliant. But then let's not forget the personal touch. We're looking to form partnerships here, not just kind of cold affiliate channels. And so it's really important to have these pieces. Now, there's all sorts of processes, but what I want to do is I want to cover three essential ones for you to have in place. The first one is around setting expectations. Now, quick show of hands, how many of you have been involved in partnerships that promised the world, but for whatever reason, just didn't deliver? They either fizzled out, okay, the media had straight up there, they either fizzled out or sometimes ended quite badly, right? So most of us. In my experience, number one reason for that will be expectations haven't been set at outset. Now, it can be really hard when we're having these really exciting meetings about all the things that we're going to do to then go back and have kind of a very granular discussion around what's needed. But it's absolutely essential, and it gives us the freedom to have more fun and be more impactful moving forwards. You want to be looking both at long-term expectations, because if you're, this never goes well because I can't do the fingers right, but if you're only 5% apart in what you think your long-term vision for this partnership is, well, over time, that 5% gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you suddenly find yourself kind of poles apart. You might find that your ideal partner, actually in 2 years' time, If you're a service provider, maybe they're looking to bring what you do in-house and you're a stopgap. Well, now that's absolutely fine. It doesn't mean you don't partner with them, but surely you want to know that in advance rather than planning your 5-year strategy around the leads that this partner's being developed. So you absolutely need to look at kind of the long-term strategy and long-term expectations. But you also want to look at short-term as well. What can we do to get going? So many partnerships never get started because they don't get started. We plan out all that we can do, but momentum is a really powerful thing. So just getting going and setting those expectations on what are we doing, who's doing it, and who's doing it when, and what does our working relationship look like is an absolutely crucial key piece. And it really sets the tone again. It's about elevating it from a relationship to a partnership. And you do that by, at the right points, being more formal. The other piece of the, and communicate those expectations as well. The next piece is about keeping your partners informed. So this is where I mentioned about the about potentially being a bit more automated and tracking. That whole piece around you're looking after your partner's reputation that they've entrusted you with. They shouldn't ever have to wonder what's going on. You want to be proactive in letting them know. So send a monthly report that lets them know what prospects you're looking at the moment, where customers are on their journey, what commissions due. Be proactive in your communication with your partners so that they're not left wondering. And a key thing on this, that seems obvious, but so many people don't do it, and certainly didn't do it when I was on the other end of partnership schemes. Just doing what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it is a vastly underrated and underused skill, it seems, in business at the moment. And if you just say on the fifth day of the month or the second Monday, you're going to get a report every month with what's going on, then just doing that regular as clockwork on that day seems basic, but believe me, it will elevate you above a bunch of other people, because people just don't typically do this stuff. So just being really consistent and being proactive will have a world of difference. And then the final piece I want to cover is about having formal reviews. So I have this a lot where I speak to people and they say, oh, we've got loads of we talk to our partners all the time. We don't need formal reviews. Formal reviews are one of my favorite things in a partnership, and they shouldn't be formal, by the way. I say use formal reviews because they're a specific meeting about your partnership. You want to keep them as friendly, as informal as possible. But they serve three main reasons for me. The first one is reviewing those expectations, seeing how we're getting on, and having those expectations set make any potentially tricky conversations so much easier to have, because you've set the expectations out nice and early. I'm sure we've all been in situations where things aren't going quite so well, but it's tricky to bring it up. You don't know how to bring it up. Yeah, well, if you've done that expectation setting piece and then you've got these formal reviews in place, it happens much more naturally. So it's about reviewing expectations. It's about asking what we can do better, because there may be something in your process. I said about making it easy, right? There may be something in your process that you're doing that's just a little niggle for your partner. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone in your team, maybe it's something in the system. And it's not the thing that they would pick up the phone and tell you about because they think it's too trivial, but it is annoying them. I can promise you it's annoying them. So by asking, is there anything we can do better? They'll go, oh, you know what, Dana, there's just this little thing where if you could do this, and you know what, you want them to say that because that is so easy to fix. You go, oh, right, I know what success looks like now. And so you can go in and fix it. The third thing, and it's my most favorite, it's about being curious. Curiosity is the birthplace of opportunity. And by being curious about what's going on in their world and within their business, you will uncover more opportunity for you. And you just typically don't get to have those conversations outside of something a little bit more, as I said formal, but a kind of a structured meeting about the partnership rather than day-to-day activities. And look, if you can do this stuff over lunch or whatever, if you're lucky to be same region and everything else, wonderful. But yeah, it's all about building a tighter relationship. So are we all okay with that? Yeah? Okay, nods of heads. Okay, so we know who our partners are, we've got the systems, we've got the communication processes. So the next thing is about activating the partnership. Again, I'm sure we've had quick show of hands again where you've had partners and you've expected the leads to come and they just haven't. Yeah, either these haven't come or they've not been of the right quality or whatever it may be. And a lot of the time, this comes down to connection, which is all about helping your partners connect you to their audience. There's another, as well as the curiosity, birthplace of opportunity saying, there's another one that I love, which is it's not common sense, it's experience. We all think what we do is common sense because we do it day to day. It was a massive block on me when I first started doing this because I thought, well, this is all just common sense. Well, it's not. It's 20 years of experience that makes it easy and second nature to me. And when you're thinking about your partners promoting your product or services, don't presume that they know how to do it. And especially remember that even if the person you're dealing with gets it, if they're not the one implementing it, if their team is, then there needs to be a little bit of extra support. And so that's where partner facing support comes in. It's about sharing all that experience that's in your brain and getting it out and giving it to your partners and their teams so that they can benefit from it. So this could be things like triggers. So what are the things, if they're typically going to be referring you on the basis of one-to-one conversations, what are the things to listen out for that means it's an ideal time to refer you? It's are there particular moments in time in your customer's life or business journey when it's the perfect time to refer you? It's about sharing all that stuff with your partners so that they are as informed as they can be about when to refer you. And if you've got your partner value proposition right at the start, they'll even look to build you into their processes. Looking at your partner's customer journey so that you can figure out when you're best to be referred is a really powerful way of making it super easy, that easy thing again for your partners to refer you. And it might seem cheeky thinking, oh, are they really going to build me into their onboarding process? Well, yeah, if you've targeted the right partners, they want to refer you because they've got a vested interest and they'll want to make it as easy as possible to do that. So if you do the heavy lifting of suggesting ways to do that, you'll be their hero. So there's all this partner facing piece. And then the flip side of it is where you've got proactive opportunity to get in front of your partner's audience and promote your products or services. So it's all this customer facing stuff. And there's as much on here as there is when you market your own services. From email to podcast to events to social posts to and. There's two crucial things to remember here though. The first one is going back to that thing around making it easy. Don't just send them your standard material. Position it as though it's come from them promoting you. It doesn't take you long to make those adjustments, but it's about you doing the heavy lifting, you making it easy for them. The amount of times I worked with big old marketing departments and when they sent us content for us to promote on their behalf, either me or someone in my team had to go in and amend it all so it read right, so it was coming from us, and it just annoyed the shit out of me, to be honest with you, because I'm thinking, you can do this, and you don't want your partners annoyed with you, you want your partners loving you all the time. And the easier you make it for them to promote you, the more likely they are to do it, and the more likely they are to do it on time. So taking your content and just adapting it slightly is absolutely something you need to be doing if you're not doing it already. And then the other thing to remember with this, and it harks back to them wanting to promote you, is really look for any opportunity to do so. So again, you might think it's pushing your luck to see how much promotion you can get. But if your partner's running live events or has got a monthly newsletter or has regular blogs or whatever it may be, and you're going to their marketing department with a whole load of easy to use content that's congruent and adds value to their audience because you've targeted the right partners, you're the marketing manager's superhero because it's one less bit of content that they've either got to produce or find themselves. So if you target the right partners, they will want to absorb and push out their content as much as possible. So really bear that in mind. And the final thing on this is ask. So you might have a suite of stuff that you like doing, but other stuff you're not as comfortable with. And you might have tried doing webinars yourself once and they didn't really take off. So it's not something you do anymore. But your partner might be amazing at them. They might get loads of people along and offer huge engagement. So as well as having this stuff that you offer, always ask your partners what works for you and see where you can adapt to them. Cool. Are we all good on kind of customer facing, partner facing support? Yeah, nods. Okay, cool. So the final piece in the jigsaw is engagement. It's going out there and finding partners. Now, I'm going to come back to the easy piece again here, but it's more around being easy on yourself. If you're just starting out on your partner journey, then your ideal partner for the future isn't your ideal partner right now. Okay, so I have people that go, maybe you might want to partner with. So Paul, who's a dream Paul, who's a dream partner for you in terms of who do you think could get your shopping trolleys out there to the absolute max kind of thing?
It's it's a strange one because I mean, there's obviously retail partners, but that's what I class as my sort of B2B arm. One of the things that reason I joined this cause is because I want to do partnerships with sort of refill shops, butchers, because I obviously have a shopping trolley business, and shopping trolley, the old lady style of shopping trolley, is going to be remastered and made from recycled material, just to clarify it's not one of the metal things pushed around a supermarket. So I was looking to do partnerships, not on a sort of retail basis in terms of getting me into John Lewis or whatever, but looking to do it more from a ground level with butchers, refill shops, fishmongers, and people that are in this sort of people shopping locally for their community and walking to their local shops.
Paul, I'm so glad you said that, because you've actually just demonstrated the point I was going to make absolutely perfectly, Paul. Because the thing with going John Lewis at the start, or if you maybe going with huge, great organisations from the B2B space, is your ideal partner to do something at massive scale isn't your ideal partner right now, because they could break you. They could break you either with quantity of leads coming in. Your ideal partners at the early stage of your partner journey are people that are typically going to be smaller. They're going to be more forgiving with you. They're going to be more kind, and you can test and you're going to be able to bring them on board quicker as well. The bigger the partner, typically the longer it takes to bring on board. Paul, yet?
Yeah, I mean, spot on with that, because you can get to talk to the owner of the business really easily. And something that you said to me at the beginning, because this completely fell apart for me, because I was coming at it from the perspective of, let me give you something that you can offer your consumer. So basically, my product works for your shop, and in reality, getting them to offer a discount on my product, they never get round to posting it, they forget, they're more concentrated on their business. And I come right back to the middle of your presentation, referrals provide a financial incentive. I shouldn't have been offering their customers a discount, should have been offering them an income stream.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's just that switch about. So the value prop will change on the level of partner. But yeah, so finding easy partners to engage with in the first instant works on massive levels. And there's an easy way to do that. First of all, remember that partner value proposition piece. Always remember that piece, that you need. If you ever feel when you're making partner outreaches that you're selling, stop, because you probably are. You should never have to sell a partnership opportunity. It's a partnership. It's an opportunity. So if you feel like you're pitching, you've done one of two things: you've either targeted the wrong partners, or you haven't quite got your value proposition right. So that's the first thing. Be really strong on your partner value proposition, and use your network. So for most of us, our first few partners, we will either be directly connected to, or we will know a bunch of people who are connected to them. And with referrals, and so when you're looking at referring people, making a referral to someone who could be a potential client, people have a bit of a hesitation about that, because they know they're going to get sold to. If you're looking for referrals to partners, as long as you've got your partner value proposition right, people will make those all day long, as long as you make it easy for them, because there's no sell involved. Or you're saying, can I have a referral to this person because I've got a great joint opportunity that's a genuine joint opportunity. And for most of us, just using what we've got in our immediate kind of circle, or once removed, is enough to get our first partners on board. And from there, we get partner testimony, partner case study, and we can start moving and expanding outwards and end up with the John Lewis's of this world, where we've got an amazing partner proposition that's been proven everywhere else, or whoever it may be. And so that is that's the strategy for going out and getting those partners. As long as you've got that value proposition right and you keep that in mind, then starting small and building out is great. And a wonderful first thing to do on this, a little kind of bonus tip, is if there's someone within your immediate network who's within your target partner demographic, don't go out and approach them and ask them to be a partner. Ask them for help or feedback. So the whole, I've got this new partner proposition, you're within my ideal demographic, I would love your feedback on it, please. People like to help. Well, most people like to help anyway. And so by asking them for that, you'll get one or two things. You'll either get feedback that you're a bit off the mark, well, great, you want that, you want to be able to improve it, or you'll get feedback that is brilliant. And hopefully they then become a partner because they see the value in it. And so asking for help when it's your immediate network is a really good way to kind of get started. Okay, so we know who our ideal partners are, and we've got a really strong value proposition. We then have the systems behind the scenes to build and maintain trust. We've got the communication processes to really form rock solid relationships. We've got all the support in place that helps our partners connect us to their audience and actually deliver results on the partnership. And we've got our strategies for going out there and getting partners. That's our 5 steps. Get all those all together and we will be dancing. So I mentioned about the ways that I actually help people implement this stuff, because obviously there is much more to it than just the half hour I've done there. I work in a number of ways, going through that framework. The first one is my Kick-Ass Collaboration Program. It's an online group format. It's a 6-month program, 2 half-day sessions per month online. You get all your framework documents, absolute roadmap of what you need to do and when. The sessions are all about implementation, though, so you do lots of doing in the sessions. You're ready to launch by month 4. That's £400 per month for a 6-month commitment. Kick off in May, Tuesday 16th. So we will be 1st and 3rd Tuesdays in May. We've got a cohort running at the moment. That's the next one that kicks off. That's always a lot of fun. Great. There's normally quite a lot of different businesses from different sectors, which means you get the benefit of not just my expertise, but a bunch of other awesome business owners as well. I then do one-to-one support, working with you on your team online or in person. Prices start at $820 for kind of half-day referral-based and partnership-based stuff, and then obviously go upwards for the full framework. Next steps. If you'd like some support with this, or you just like the slides, or you just like the recording, then if you scan that QR code, then it will all be there. And what I would do, if I can find the chat, I will just sling the links in, which will make it easier as well. There we go. Copied and pasted those earlier. That has worked. And so yeah, for those next steps, if you'd like to chat about anything about this in a bit more detail, would love to. And on the subject of referrals, that's it for now. So if you know someone else if you know of anyone else that you think might benefit either from the service that I offer or from this talk, please point them in my direction, because I run these sessions once a month, and I would be eternally grateful. And equally, if you want to say lovely things about me on LinkedIn, that's also fine as well. So that's it from the formal bit. I'm going to stop sharing.
So I think...
Yeah, open the floor. So yeah, please do, Dana.
I was going to say, I think I'll start with the lovely things right here. Dave, that was phenomenal. And it was inspirational, even at 8 o'clock in the morning over here in Atlanta. And I know what you offer adds value and it helps get clarity. And you answered questions that I have around my business that I know there's some areas that I certainly need more support and development. So thank you for this.
My absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Have you got anyone with any questions? I'd be happy to kind of, feedback on anything. I like being put on the spot. So,
no questions. Yes. The reason I'm here today is I realised I failed in the past. When I saw your thing come through, I just wanted to sort of try and get an understanding of why my little attempt, because I'm on a fundraising round at this moment in time in my business. Yeah. So my focus has changed elsewhere. But what I was trying to do was obviously try different avenues and have a little push into each. So I am trying to arm myself for the future. And it's been really useful.
Good. I'm really glad. Really glad. Cool. Any more? Oh, by the way, on referrals aren't just for customers. I always say that. So it's it's a really powerful thing of just when you're on that fundraising journey, kind of just yeah, look at, remember that the people in your network, while even if they're not your next investor, who do they know? Even if it's just a good word in support, kind of just, yeah, remember that to reinforce it.
Yeah, I'm a bit rubbish at that because it's a bit, I don't know if it's the inbuilt Britishness, like, you know, oh my God, I could ask someone for money.
It's the ick. It's the ick factor.
Yeah,
I call it the ick, and there's all sorts of things to get over that. Yeah. Yes, Nick, and then Brian. I've seen you put one in the chat, so Brian, I will come to yours afterwards.
I thought you made a really good point, Dave, about not being don't sell and don't be salesy in this process. And I think I've looked at it before. I've tried to kind of create a referral structure myself, and I've always felt it's been too pushy and too salesy, and that's probably why it hasn't worked. So I think that whole approach of asking, you know, for feedback and input, it's a great way, isn't it, of kind of introducing the conversation.
Yeah, and you know what, it kind of comes back to that ick again. Like, there's a healthy level of ick, right? Which is, am I being too pushy? Is that sales piece too there? And it's recognizing, when have I just got to get over myself, because we do need to sell, otherwise nothing ever happens, right? And sales gets a dirty word essentially. If we're offering value to the right people, it's just helping people. We're helping people. But then there is that. So it's finding that balance in the middle where it's like, well, no, this is natural and it's comfortable and I'm adding value. But that little flip of the value you deliver to the partner, not their audience, typically cures that, because even for us as much as them, to be honest with you as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Good one. Thanks.
Right, Brian, you mentioned about, is the back end easy to set up? It depends. I'll be honest, there's no black or white answer there, because it depends on the types of partnerships you're looking to set up. So at the moment, I'm working with a couple of coaches who do very high-end executive coaching, right? So they're looking for a handful of leads a year. They only want 10 leads a year because of the volume that drops through to. So for those guys, the behind-the-scenes setup is pretty easy. But then I work with a bunch of other people who are doing high volume of partners, high volume of leads. And so that's when you're much more into how do your CRM integrate and what reporting are we doing, and then anything and everything in between. So what I would say is, in the first instance, just being intentional about what you do is enough. You can overcomplicate it. You mentioned about a done for you service. Yes, to an extent. What I don't do is, I'm not a partnership manager for hire, so I don't go out and form partnerships. I make connections for my clients because I love to connect to people. It's kind of inbuilt in what in what I do. But yes, there is a bit of a done for you service there. So if you want to have a chat about what that looks like, then we'd be more than happy to, Brian. So any more?
Just a brief observation. Thank you for that, Dave. It really made me think about lots of things. I mean, something that I don't really have any major partnerships with my holistic practice. In a way, it would be great to do that with vets, and that's something that I have to think about. Where I do have a kind of partnership is actually with someone who supplies my clients with organic herbs for their horses, which is, part of my line of business.
Yeah.
And what's interesting and what's problematic is that this sort of partnership, there is a kind of partnership in the sense that I recommend this person to my clients. And so actually she's made a huge amount of business through my recommendations. But because I started working with her in just a kind of, she's probably one of the best herbalists in the UK. And so for me, the added value is to recommend my clients a good herbalist. But what's happening is that I've ended up working for her as a commercial. I'm doing commercial work for her in that I am actually sending her quite a lot of clients. And I haven't stepped in at the right point to actually create a partnership, because I'm aware that I'm actually doing something which is great. She doesn't have to work for any of my clients. She automatically gets the referrals. And I've sort of found myself in a situation where I'm sort of almost in a partnership that hasn't been properly set up. And actually, it's really to my partner's advantage. And it's that my own advantage in this is, you know, it's more problematic. So, I mean, you know, that's something
Yeah.
that I really have to resolve.
I get this a lot. And
Okay.
so I'm going to talk about cross referral partnerships. I'm not a fan of them. Now, I'm a fan of referrals in general. So if you can refer someone, you should always do it. But partnerships, however loose, being set up on the basis of, well, we'll just refer each other evenly, I'm not a fan of, because typically one person refers more than the other. It's very
Yeah.
rare that you will be the ideal person to refer to someone who's the ideal person to refer back the other way. And even
Yeah.
if you
Got
are,
it.
so one party typically does more, and then there's a bit of resentment can creep in or whatever it may be. And so I'm not a fan of them. Now, I get what you're saying, mentioned to me a lot, and you absolutely can backtrack and do it. So if you're not receiving as many referrals from her, that's absolute. I guess that would be absolutely fine. You can go back and ask for a commercial relationship to be in place. I don't think there's any reason for that. You can't do it on previously done stuff, but you absolutely can go back and talk about what you want to, how you want to set this up. You can ask her, what more can I do to help you promote me? And it's never too late to kind of go back and make this a little bit more formal. And one thing that I say to my clients, or to be fair, anyone that's been one of my events, use me. Go, I was on this meeting with this chap called Dave, and I said that I was going to be more formal about my relationships and partnerships, and so I'm going to. I want to have this conversation. And so with my clients, I say that all the time. I'm like, use me as your reason for being stricter and starting to get this stuff in place. That
I like that. Thank you.
So I'm
That's
gonna,
great.
you know what? I'm gonna drop you a message in a month's time, Peter, and see how you got on. So now you can wholeheartedly, honestly go, I need to have this conversation because someone's going to be chasing me up on it. So there you go. You're not even going to have to lie about
Excellent.
it.
Okay, well, I shall
I'm gonna
surprise
do
you in a month's time. That's cool. I like it. Lovely.
Brilliant. Okay. Any more for any more? No, we all good? Awesome. Right. I will let you guys be on your way then. Have a wonderful rest of the day and rest of the week. It'll be Friday now, actually, because Megan, my wonderful team member, doesn't work Wednesday afternoons, and she's off for her driving test tomorrow. She does all that stuff. So you'll get an email from us on Friday with a link to the recording, the slides, and everything else. But if you click on one of those links in the chat, then you'd be able to grab them. You'll be able to grab them now anyway. Wishing you a wonderful rest of the day, and thank you all for being such wonderful guests. Cheers, everyone. Bye.